Good now, revolutionaries, and welcome to the Rise Up Morning Show.
The Rise Up Morning Show.
Today is Monday, April 21st. Happy belated Easter and a belated Passover to all those who celebrate. Will was just telling us that his Easter bunny hides the eggs in the same place every year. Oh no, Easter bunny, what's going on, man?
You always got to look behind all of the pictures. There's always at least two underneath the pillows of the couch. And if there's a flower pot, my God. There's
what is it
at
with
least
Easter bunnies and flower pots, man?
It's easy. Those eggs, they fit so well. That and also it's Easter, you know? I do like it, you know? It reminds you of Esther, the goddess of spring. You know, the reason why we call it Easter, you know?
Of course,
just
that's what I always think of.
Christian with the pagan, and, you know, you get a good marketing jargon.
And that's how all holidays are born.
That's how most of them are born.
Don't come for me.
If you had a celebratory weekend, let us know. We'd love to hear what you're up to, what you've been up to, and what brings you here today. If you've got a question, suggestion, good joke, word of wisdom, especially if you're curious or skeptical about cryptocurrency, Web3, artificial intelligence. We're building the new internet, and you are invited, and we will try to break it down and explain it to you. There's no such thing as a dumb question here. And we've got a couple other things prepared to try and help you navigate the wild and wonderful world of Web3. I had that big Easter party, and let me tell you, we don't even hide eggs. We scatter them across this family's wonderful property. They have a meadow with like a waterfall, and so you throw eggs. We have some golden eggs that we hide because they're, oh my gosh, worth extra points. But my Easter bunny also loves potted plants. In the news today, relevant to Easter, Pope Francis passed away earlier this morning. Klaus Schwab, who's sort of like the Pope of the World Economic Forum, resigned from his post there. And Kendrick Lamar rose again. He was named a Chanel ambassador. Has nothing to do with crypto, but I feel like we're having a lot of shifts and fluxes around the world. Bitcoin has broken past 87,000. I didn't get a chance to watch your Bitcoin update, Will, so I was hoping you'd tell me if that means I'm going to be rich tomorrow or not. And there's a lot of interesting stuff happening. So
You're
maybe we start
gonna be rich tomorrow.
Shaking the 8-ball, shaking the 8-ball. Lambo soon. Hey.
Hey.
Confirmed.
Confirmed.
Oh my gosh.
Science.
101x leverage.
Yeah. We can pack it up, boys.
Yeah.
What are you seeing in Bitcoin, Will?
Well, in the super short term, it hit my initial price target for the bullish breakout scenario that we were highlighting. We were highlighting both the bullish breakout scenario and the bearish breakout scenario, and it hit the bottom line of where I was like, you should start selling here, up to a potential more optimistic, like 89K. But it hit that initial sell target, you know, perfectly. And you know, in the very short term, I would say probably time to take some healthy profits if you're trading on like the 4-hour chart, or you know, your trades last just like a couple days or something like that, right? I'd say take some profits here if I were you. It could squeeze up a little bit more, but most of the profit that you've gotten really over the past like 2 weeks, I think you've gotten. Me personally, and then I'll provide some scenarios. I am short term potentially bullish up to like 92, 93K. Midterm, more so bearish. You know, kind of, I want to, if I want to have that midterm scenario for me change from seeing a lower low, I need to see Bitcoin come down and set in a higher low. You know, prove to me that there's some confidence here that we're not going to see a correction further downwards. Long term, super bullish, right? So quick little bow tie on that. Up to 92, 93K, I see it as being pretty damn hard to get above, because you're going to hit a line of resistance that's been respected on Bitcoin's chart since April of 2021.
Okay.
That's going to be a very strong line of resistance if you hit that. Going to be a very likely scenario where you then have a pretty good sized correction that, in the most bullish scenario, could be a higher low from the low that we set in, when was it? The low that we set in the beginning of this month at 74,000 could be a higher low, could be something like 76,000, 78,000. You know, there's some potential areas that could be caught, or it's going to be a lower low, right? I'm leaning towards the lower low scenario. But, you know, so keep your eyes on that. If you go up to 92, 93K, really stiff resistance there, could be interested in a short. Definitely more likely of a scenario. But if you get above that, hey, times could be great. Then you want to keep your eye on really that like 80K to 74K range to see if we set in a higher low or that we could bounce off with, in which case, hey, we're buying some spots, we're setting some longs. If we break below 74K, hey, there could be a fall to as low as $52,000. Then you set a short. Yeah. So keep your eyes on those key levels. And again, we're talking timeframes here that could span 2 to 6 to 8 weeks, 12 weeks, something. So, that's the midterm time frame. So that's what we're looking at here. That's that. That's the update.
That's the update. I was looking at the chart over the weekend and just to make sure I was prepped for the show this morning. And I did think it was kind of interesting as somebody who is not much of a technical analyzer. Mm-hmm. I was popping up the 1 year chart and just noticing sort of the interesting, I think we're forming a single hump camel and we could be going for the double hump or we could be going for the tail of the camel. I just don't know. I never know. I haven't had a chance to listen back, but I know that you guys talked a little about your thoughts on technical analysis last week, whether it's just astrology, a self-affirming prophecy, or if it is in fact the map by which we read all markets. And I've got to say, I am looking forward to it because I like participating in that conversation. And I do want to say thank you guys for holding down the fort while I was traveling.
Yeah,
Listen,
of course, man. We didn't really hold it down. We just kind of like set it on fire and then we tried to put it out. And then before mom came back, we were like rushed to the store to buy like the new toaster oven that had melted on the counter.
Listen, I happened to tune in Wednesday morning and I think I tuned in right as I don't know what kind of problem you were trying to solve, but you were saying something about you were like, oh my God, dude, we're letting Evan down, or I'm sorry, Evan. And that was like right the moment I was tuning in, I was like, what's going on? What's going on?
It was a weird one because we've never had this particular technical difficulty before. It was the only people who could see my video on TikTok were me and Will. And it was just a black screen for everyone. And it just took forever. And it required a full stream on TikTok reset to get the picture to come back. It was very strange.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was odd.
Even me jumping down, leaving, resetting my phone, coming back up, didn't work. Will had to restart.
Yeah.
Real weird. But I was going to say, I was talking to my mom last week and she was asking, just general how everything's going. I said, well, I can't wait for Evan to come back because I realized that while I'm comfortable and fine, I'm so spoiled now that because I always get this false sense of confidence whenever Evan's gone. I'm like, okay, I got it. Because I started as a streamer and I was streaming without Evan for years, but now I've had Evan for years, and I'm just so goddamn spoiled because you can't go back to not having Evan hosting your show. After this many years.
It's so smooth with Evan, and you don't even have to think about it. And then there's a moment where like Alex and I look at each other, and I was just like, we're both just like, oh wait, shit, Evan's not here for the next topic. Oh wait, we have to come up with this. But yeah, so we're very glad to.
So thank God you're back.
Thank God you're back.
Listen, I really appreciate it. We don't have to go on anymore about it. You guys rock.
Oh guys, stop, please.
Tell me, don't applaud, just throw money. Well, listen, I did want to go back though, because I know that I got the text message or saw the catch up in the chat when you started to talk about content coins. Am I correct that you observed it Wednesday night when you were after dark and that the conversation kind of spilled over into Thursday? And would you like me to set the stage for people who missed it, or are people on the show pretty well met in terms of they get the drama and we're all caught up to where content coins are?
I think you should wrap it up.
Put a bow on it.
A lot has evolved. It's become more understood, I guess, since last week when it was all kind of blowing up.
Okay, so let me see if I can get a screen share going. Last week, Jesse Pollak, who is employee 1 over at Base, which is Coinbase's layer 2 network, launched a token by posting on the social network Zora. The post was Basis for everyone and everything, kind of like my silly little t-shirts that just have text on them. Jesse has been doing this thing on Zora where he will mint a post that is just a couple words on the screen. That's kind of the vibe he's going for. He's curating this look. And he's been a longtime poster on Zora. Coinbase is an early supporter of Zora. And Zora is a network that wants to make an Instagram experience, but with tokens added. And the way that they started was with NFTs. Your social posts were NFTs. They recently changed their model, and I'm going to see if I can get a different share going on here. You can pause for a second maybe. But they've changed their model so that every post now launches a fungible token, what looks a lot like a pump.fun meme coin. And beneath every post, the same way Instagram shows you how many people liked or shared or saved your post, it used to show how many people collected your post, and now it shows like your meme coin, they call it content coins, has a market cap of whatever. This is how many people hold it. So it's a very financialized version of likes and shares.
Gross.
And very quickly, Jesse Pollak's Bases for Everyone token amassed, I think, a $17 million market cap. Fact check yourself, brother. And then went back down to, much, much lower.
Went back down is such a polite way of saying what happened.
It looked a lot like
dumpstered.
Whenever there's a meme coin launched by it's
anybody.
Anybody. And it's not like he, went to promote it, but somebody somewhere got a hold of it. They drove the price up. They drove the price back down. And since that time, there has been a narrative where Jesse has defended his actions as sort of trying to shape a new meta, which he calls content coins. He believes everything will be tokenized. He likes to call Web3 on-chain. He wants to bring the whole world on-chain. He's, Mr. Champion of that. Tokenize everything. And his take is, if I'm going to be a leader, I need to lead by example and mint as many things as I can so that other content creators will see it's safe to do the same. Content coins give them a direct relationship with their audience in a world where Facebook and TikTok take all the money away from creators who bring you the content you love. Content coins will be a way for audiences to appreciate and give value back to creators directly. And he has said of the speculative nature of this that he's not worried about it, that it's a passing thing, that just like the internet, was used for porn. This is not his words. This is his argument, though. People have articulated. Not Tim Berners-Lee was not like a huge porn guy, inventor of the internet, or at least pieces of what we now know as the World Wide Web, the internet.
You mean Al Gore?
Yeah, exactly. Al Gore and his big truck. So there is some merit to this, of course. But the criticisms are that on the way to tokenizing everything, we need to help people become more literate. And I would say, if I had to guess what you guys were upset about, and what I'm upset about, is that adding liquidity and leading with speculation, like putting the dollars on the bottom, this is how big this token is or whatever, it really leads to a culture where that is the thing because it's being measured and shared and proliferated. That's the thing that these tokens are doing, more than making any content creators rich. Last 24 hours, the top 2 meme tokens on Zora were ones that I'm pretty sure the name was
Come for him.
Literally, something like that. It might have been me instead of him. But the other one I think is like, I don't know, Donut Coin or something. I mean, they're not great pieces of viral content. They're silly. Zora's got a token generation event coming up this week, and people are really in this discussion of, are we, building the future, or are we just continuing to extract max value from people? And I've kind of alluded to what my opinion is.
It's the latter.
But I wanted to know what you guys think, especially because I am in Jesse's corner in one sense that I think content should be tokenized for a lot of reasons. I just don't think that's it. And that somebody like Jesse should be experimenting in a world where people are going to buy a token to speculate on it because his name is attached to it. I think there's a better, different way to tell that story.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you a lot on this, where I think content should be tokenized because the revenue model that we have today, we've talked about so many times, is broken, where the only people who really profit are the people who are collecting the data at the end of the day. It's not the creator, it's not the viewer, it's the company behind the scene that has the data center and then sells your stuff to marketing and ad companies. So, how do you get a piece of that pie? If you tokenize the content, you have ownership of that content and you can have a revenue stream from the generation of that. If you have the tokenization of your personal data, you can sell that and actually profit from it yourself as opposed to companies, right? All that good stuff. But if you're going to tokenize content, don't attach a speculative meme coin because it's just going to create more influencer meme coins. That's all it's going to do. And the people who are going to get hurt are the people who are in your audience who are going to end up like buying a top, right? That's just what's going to happen. So like instead, but like if you want to have a token behind it, you sure, but like just have it be USDC or have it be Ethereum or Solana or like the base native platform crypto, right? Something that cannot be nearly as easily manipulated or as pump and dumpy, right? That has a whole bunch of other things going for it, that the whole narrative around it isn't just that creator, you know, like this is fine. Just, you can't create as a, I don't know what, $100,000 market cap, a $50,000 market cap meme coin, and then expect things to go well if you're a huge personality. You know, you're just opening up your flock of sheep, your audience, to the wolves of very, very, very savvy snipers and you know, meme coin manipulators, and your flock's going to get slaughtered. You know, that's just how it goes.
Yeah.
She did it.
Listen, I want so badly not to hate this so much because he's not wrong in theory.
Correct. Yes.
Like both of you just said, the content model is broken. Right now, the way that most creators make good money from their content is usually by doing something semi-unethical, or you're in part of the 0.1% that just crush so hard that these standard broken payout methods make you a decent living. That is almost no creators. Like, for the record, if I were to try and survive based only on how much money I make just from views, it would be like a couple $100 a month. That's the sum total on a good month.
Yeah.
And I would not say that I'm part of the upper echelon of content creators that like crush. And so it sucks. Okay?
No, but we probably are at that level in like the top 1%, honestly, truly.
Probably.
Of all the people who have posted. Like if you're like, you know, if you have posted a video on TikTok at least once, you know, you will have created content. You are technically a creator. We are definitely in the 1%.
Yeah. And
of that group.
And that really says more than, that says quite a bit, honestly, that it's still like not even remotely sustainable. So, especially given how much work goes into it. So I agree, the model's broken. That's why I liked Zora before this. And I think everyone probably knows my biggest pet peeve with anything crypto is poor representation or false representation. And honestly, that's what I feel like is happening. Because here's what the fuck is actually going on. And this is, I don't have any insider information. This is a hunch that I would be willing to bet money is accurate. Base came out of the gate swinging. Okay, let's go back to the beginning of Base's launch. Immense TVL injection, crazy activity. Skyrocketed to the top of the metrics charts. Tons of users. It was really cool to see. One of the reasons we initially grabbed onto it, just because it was accurately representing, ding, 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 the fact that it was pretty centralized, had a plan to decentralize. Team was like really excited. There was a bunch of stuff you could do, which go figure how that was cool. Warpcast was dope. Like all these things were happening. Something crushed it in terms of revenue. Absolutely decimated it. And to be fair, everything else. And that was Pump.Fun. Mm-hmm. It's not a coincidence that pre-TGE, it's become Pump.Fun on Base. Okay, that's not a coincidence. It's trying to ramp up revenue to make the TGE more appealing and get more volume and more speculation and more hype around this kind of thing, because it's making a shitload more money now than it was before. The model that it was using before, NFTizing content, makes a million times more sense than turning it into a shitter. That's an awful idea. And the problem that I have with this is that Jesse knows that. anyone who's been here for longer than 10 minutes knows that that's not going to go well. And we can all say exactly how it's going to go. A bunch of people are going to use it to make a bunch of shitters, and then they're going to fly into the air, and then they're going to crater into hell. And most people are just going to lose money, and the platform's going to make a bunch of revenue, and it's going to look great for shareholders and other, pre-TGE buyers, whoever gets early access to this thing. So then the problem was double, triple, and quadrupling down on this dumbass method of launching this thing. The absolutely indignant refusal to take any feedback from anyone, and only after getting ratioed from here to kingdom come was there even the slightest admission that perhaps posting bases for pimping is not the greatest idea we've ever had.
Yeah.
And
What?
I just
basis for pimping.
Yeah, that's
basis for pimping and basis for squirting.
The squirting thing, fine, whatever. You know what? Okay, great. That one isn't the same kind of stupid. But it's just so stupid. It was so ham-handed.
The apologies felt more like explanations.
They weren't apologies.
They were too late, and they were
just being defensive. They were just it was not an apology. It was the kind of apology from someone who's trying to gaslight you. It was just stupid. And I just have it bummed me out. It really bummed me out. And there's nothing revolutionary about this.
What bummed you out more, though? Was it this or the Solana commercial? Which one? Scale of 1 to 10.
That's a good question.
That's a good question. They were both. I think
awful.
we can agree.
Guams. Yep.
Yeah.
And you know what? Honestly, the method of handling both were both different and also both not great.
Both was not great.
Solana's was like, hey, attention spans are short, right? Let's just delete this thing and pretend it didn't happen. And then, a week later, everyone literally forgot about it. And this one was like, no, just tell them they're wrong. Tell them that the future is on chain. Tell them that blah, 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 whatever. And it's like, okay, in theory, you're kind of right, but you're so out of touch that this is giving me Katy Perry with the daffodil in orbit vibes right now. And it's just really bad. You are out of touch. You're delusional. And none of this is going to happen the way that you think it's going to happen. That's my problem. In theory, yes. In theory, putting more content on chain and giving people more avenues to monetize the things that they put hard work into are good. That's why we're all here. But in reality, just launching shitter after shitter after shitter after shitter is just going to cycle liquidity away from everyone who's like, oh, this is kind of cool. I like this. Maybe this is going to work. Oh, go figure. It didn't fucking work. And now I lost my money.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing across. Interestingly enough, that you have now added this into my example I'm about to give between Base, Solana, and Katy Perry. And so many others, because those three things go together so well, so easily, like a round circle into a rectangular block. And but no, it's just like all these people handling these things in an incorrect way, just being so out of touch as to what the real true appetite is amongst people, which is just give us something that can help people. And crazy enough, if you have something that can help people, people are interested in it. If you can do that and you can build your business strategy, yes, I understand profits are important. I'm a capitalist. I get it. You need to make money, but you can make a lot of money because so many people are so used to being preyed upon across every single industry you could possibly imagine, that if you create a message, a platform, a vision, and a company that is designed to profit, but also genuinely provide value. Base, do things that are good for the people on chain. Solana, keep to your messaging about decentralizing the world and giving people easier access to finance. Try to stay out of the political side of things because you're just going to sideline half of the people. And Katy Perry, open your fucking eyes. It's just be there for people, have kindness in your heart. You can make a ton of money off of that. And if you match that with people, they're going to make you a gigantically profitable company. I mean, hey, look at what GameStop's done. GameStop's just sided with the people hardcore since the GME short squeeze scenario in 2020. And people love them for it. They keep their stock alive. It's probably the only reason why GameStop isn't bankrupt today.
It's because it's authentic. It's because it's properly representing
and it's
the
responsive
vibe and the culture. Yes.
Yeah. And I'm not saying GameStop's a great company, right? They have a lot of holes in their company plan, but they have at least, messaging wise, matched it with like, we're here for the people and to like help the people, right? And that's nice. Base, a company could just so easily just do that and then keep their predatory stuff underneath. And they do better off.
It's like a sewer system. Just keep that out of here.
Yeah, just keep it underneath. We know you have to have a little bit of it. We know you have stocks and shareholders and stuff, and your number one goal is to making sure you increase value for them and not actually take care of your customers. We all know that.
Yeah.
Just keep it underneath.
I want to be clear too. Like, I don't think any of us are against Base or Solana or even Katy Perry or Jesse. I just really wish. You don't think so? Wow,
I didn't know you had such strong feelings against Katy Perry.
Against Katy Perry.
Plastic Bag in the Wind or whatever that song was called.
Listen, plastic whatever. The song, great. She's had some bangers. I don't know
Kim
if she read any
Jong-un,
of
love
them.
that.
Probably not.
Bikinis
My point
on
is,
top.
she deserves the flag from this. This was egregiously terrible. It was so fucking bad. Anyone who's been alive for more than 18 seconds should have known that was not going to go over well.
But my point is just to say that, we want Jesse especially to do well. We want Base to be a success.
Yes.
We want Solana to be a success. We want every company that has our story in their mouths and is like leading the movement and has so much attention to be telling the story that can resonate with everyday people. So we want to see people like Jesse be more accountable, be more responsive to feedback as they try to push for innovation. I don't want him to slow down. I want him to bring, on-chain to the people, as he might say. But I really just want it to be a deeper, more engaged conversation that reflects care for the people who've yet to join us.
It's like these Web3 companies forget that they actually have a really good mission. With a really good, powerful message for people. It's like they forget that all the time with like a short attention span, little like brain and marketing strategy of an ant.
You know what? It's just the fact that a lot of them are realizing now that, and I keep coming back to this because it's so funny, not because it's hilarious, but because it's on point. Is Mert tweeting, if you're struggling with product market fit, try building something that the market wants.
Yeah.
It's funny because 99% of Web3 businesses are just making shit up that sounds cool, but no one is involved in the feedback loop of bringing this product to market. Like, the go-to-market for most Web3 companies is non-existent because there's nothing to bring to anybody. No one is asking for anything that they're doing. There's like 6 companies that are doing something in demand. Or there's a bunch of companies that are strictly B2B that are trying to be B2C in their advertising and their like promotion, and it just doesn't work because no one understands what they're doing because they're not supposed to. So yeah, the mission statement is great. It's the thing that brought us all here, and we just keep missing. And I think the sad part is that, like, up until this moment, I thought that there was like a glimmer of hope that the Base team like really truly got it, and now it's like, oh, okay, deep sigh, you're right. Pump.fund made a lot more money than you did, and your overlords are upset at you. Might as well make your own.
When we were talking about this too, Alex over the weekend caught me up a little bit, and we noted, Jesse has his own kind of very interesting, unique echo chamber. Like, here's employee number 1 at Base, who is talking to Brian Armstrong, probably in a text message. Brian Armstrong, if you don't know, is the CEO of Coinbase. Coinbase is arguably like the US's leading crypto company, with political leaders, institutions. They hold more Bitcoin than anybody else. They custody most of the ETFs. They have a tremendous amount of volume from commercial and just consumer retail customers alike. So he needs to make Brian Armstrong's vision come to life. That's his responsibility. He is surrounded by a team of people who respond to his leadership, who are pushing him to continue to achieve the kind of success that, honestly, Base got by being a great product, but also kind of by serendipity. Like, when you're Coinbase and you launch an L2 and it happens to perform well, of course it's going to go gangbusters. You got people who want to build there, it's going to be tough for them to sustain that kind of crazy momentum. So he's got a lot of pressure. He lives in an echo chamber. It's hard. And I do want to say very quickly that if we're dropping some jargon here, I tried to define Brian Armstrong. I think we said TGE is token generating event, but if you're like TGE, NFT, what are these guys talking about? I just came here to ask about Bitcoin. Like, listen, you're in the right place. And we want you to feel free to ask your question or slow us down if we start to speak too much inside baseball. And that seems like a good point to tell you that this show is live Monday through Thursday at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. We're live Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Central for Rise Up After Dark. And you can catch all of our recordings on our YouTube page. You can find YouTube, all the other socials, and if you don't want to watch the video, you just want to hear us, check us out on your favorite podcasting platform. All the official links are available at the riseupmorningshow.com. And one last thing, if you do go to the riseupmorningshow.com, let me tell you what you're going to find there. You will not find this morning show mug. The official first edition Rise Up Morning Show mug has been put to bed. It's been retired. It's gone to sleep. It's done. This is it. But, my friends, you are in luck because the second edition Rise Up Morning Show mug is here. And the good news about that mug is if you're not a fan of dark mode, you get your chance to go light mode. And if you're not a fan of the small mug, you get your choice between an 11 ounce, a 15 ounce, and what I am calling the freaking huge 20 ounce Rise Up Morning Show mug. I'm sorry, Will. We don't have espresso yet, but we're working on it. We're working.
Okay, thanks.
Sorry, man. I'm so sorry.
Thanks.
I just feel so disappointed because I know you'd like
This
one.
is
and I'd
just
like
this
to.
is all the coffee I can consume now.
Right.
My
but
body
if-
doesn't do caffeine well anymore.
You know, if you want to support the show, that's one way you could do it. You can make your coffee taste better, make yourself look better while you're drinking it, and help us out at the same time. But definitely, check out the recordings. Check out the
I
socials.
think they make people more handsome too.
That's what I'm saying. They
I
make
think they do.
people look. I look better when I drink my coffee from a Rise Up
Yeah.
Morning Show mug. But it's hard
No,
to
it's
tell
just-
because I drink my coffee
Rise-
from a morning show mug every day. Maybe I should drink it from a different mug tomorrow, and you guys can really see what I'm talking about.
Rise Up Morning Show coffee mugs are for glow ups.
Yes.
for copying base.
Sponsored by La Roche Poussey and
La
the Rise Up Morning Show
Roche-Posay.
mug.
Hell yeah, man.
Okay, so we beat up on Jesse Pollak enough. I would really love to have him on the show. I don't know that he'll ever come on the show, but boy, if he does, that'd be great. He was on
That'd be
Unchained
so
and I
cool.
think Bankless, explaining his position on this thing if you want more of it. And Alex, I know that you wanted to touch on, since we gave a Bitcoin update earlier that people can catch in the recording, you wanted to talk a little about, in markets like these, who needs enemies? What can people be doing to make the most of their time here right now? You want to give some context?
Yeah, so the context is that we had, let me see let me fact check myself, brother, before I say this out loud.
Do it.
For the past, it's been like what? Since the beginning of April, really. So the last couple weeks here, things have been on the up and up. And one, I had no clue it was coming. Two, I honestly kind of believed it wasn't going to happen. Three, I still don't look at charts and I barely know how to read them. So, but I've made money every single week since all of this started. And it's just because of the way that I've been handling my portfolio and buys and sells. Not very many of them, but this is living proof that this method works. It's becoming less and less anecdotal every day. So I was kind of chatting with some people in Discord yesterday. It sounds silly to say this out loud, so just bear with me. The market can only do three things, right? It can only go up, down. You good?
I'm so sorry.
It can only go up, down, or flat and sideways. That's it. So it seems once you slim it down to just these three options, it becomes a lot easier to come up with what you would do in each of those three options. So if you have only one ingredient, which is an asset that you have conviction in, for me, the only one that I do any kind of trading with is Solana. Because if I miss out and I miss it and I'm holding some and it crashes, I'm not worried about it. I have long-term conviction in it, right? And if it and I know that it's going to be volatile, it's going to chop around. So there's always an opportunity to do something. Okay, so if it's crashing, I have the opportunity to add more because I never ape into anything. I always have some stable coins. I've got like my little weekly allocation that just go into USDC. If I don't know what to do with it, I always have some stable coins. Always, always, always. Never buy with everything. Always have a little bit. If it pumps, sell some. Don't sell the whole thing, sell some. And then guess what? You have some stable coins. You have more stable coins. And now if it goes flat, you can average back in, can sit there and wait and farm some yield on the USDC. And if it crashes, you can buy a little bit back. And that's literally it. That's all I do. So when Solana went to $98, I had orders set for under 100 because I was like, if it goes under 100, I definitely want some. And I've just been selling that bag that I bought at $98 all the way up to 140. And guess what? If it crashes from here, I've got more stable coins. And if it keeps going, I still have some sold because I didn't sell the whole thing. So just say this to say it's really much more simple than most people make it out to be. And sitting there paranoid checking charts and like trying to time this and deciding whether or not you should go in with the full bag or should you sell everything and buy it back later, like all this kind of, it's all a waste of time and energy, and it's just going to stress you out. I haven't been stressed about the markets one single time since this one started, and I've had less of a clue what was going on than any bull run previous. And if that doesn't tell you something about the way that most people I think should do this, because like I'm not looking and reading at stuff the way that Will does. I'm not a professional day trader. I'm not charting patterns and opening specific trades with specific thesis in place or whatever. I'm just reacting to the one of three things that the market can do and is doing right before my very eyes at whatever point. And there's no wrong move. You literally can't fuck it up.
Yeah. And I would say that strategy really, really, really works if you are just doing it with something you have long-term conviction in. Do it with Bitcoin. If you have that feeling for Solana, do it for Solana. I think Alex certainly does. I would say I do as well. It's the play that I'm looking to have my like biggest trades in as well. Because for me, I also need the volume and liquidity. And like, but if you take that same strategy and then you take that to some shitter coin, like you're going to find yourself in a scenario where like that bag that you've just kind of like held for a long time just disappears and fades to nothing, you know? So, you know, do that with something that can be around for a while, and you'd be shocked at just how much money you can make over time in a very low risk scenario in a very simple strategy. And that also reminded me, I saw a TikTok not too long ago, and it was about like the psychology of running. And I swear to God, this is going to make sense. Okay. But there was this girl who was like, everyone always says like lock in, you know, like lock in, like really focus, you know, push past like mile 3 to mile 5, and then you can go for the next like 5 miles so easy if you just lock in. She's like, no, lock out. Lock out, turn your brain off. Have your spirit watch your body from outside. Pay attention to nothing. Have a fake conversation with 14 dead US presidents. I don't know, whatever will take your mind off of something. Just lock out. Don't pay attention to anything. And I was like, Alex, as you were going through your strategy, I was like, yeah, man. Yeah, you gotta lock out. You gotta lock out.
You gotta lock out to lock in.
You gotta lock out to lock in.
I wanted to piggyback on.
I say that in jest, but I think Alex's strategy is a fantastic strategy, particularly if you don't have the time to, you know, develop or the patience to develop like a TA trading strategy, because a lot of people don't have the time for it. You got kids, you got a job, you got shit to do, right? I don't have time to take an hour every day for the next number of months to learn about this stuff. You know, I need a simple strategy, and Alex's strategy is perfect.
I wanted to highlight our friend Solem's comment on TikTok, which is even better, Alex, than your answer that the market can do 3 things. He said, I know what the market will do 100%. It always goes to the right.
To the right.
It just goes.
There's some pretentious joke about rollbacks in there somewhere.
Yeah, hard forks.
Oh, yeah.
Reset the chain. Come on. Yeah. Oh, my God. We're such nerds. We are such nerds. I'm going to do a history lesson, I think, this week sometime. We were talking just a bit about what would be fun for the show, and I have this sound effect on my board that I never get to use. And I think we need to do the Rise Up Rewind so that I can use it more often, and we can go back into history to understand the present and be more informed as we look to build the future. So stay tuned. Maybe we'll do a little historical segment on resets, hard forks. But I know, Will, you... Oh, my God, hang on. I got to tell everybody, this is the part of the show when I tell everybody on the podcast or everybody who's watching the recording why you should come watch the live shows, because every now and then you get a little dog. And Alex has just uplifted Arlo, one of our favorite pups.
He's such a sweet boy.
What's going on? He's nosing towards the microphone. He looks like he wants to say something, but I'm pretty sure he just wants to cause as much mischief as possible for Alex.
Yes, he just
It's always
dead.
mischief.
He sprinted into my office so hard, and the gate leading in here has like a little bottom bar. He just tripped over it, went face first into the room, and then just sat there like embarrassed, and nobody saw
Oh, poor little guy.
that. I saw it.
Poor
Poor little guy. Don't worry, he's totally forgotten.
What a cute guy. So, Will, you messaged me in the private chat here. You said you had a TA example, and I feel like for
Yes.
people who do read charts, that's also a viable strategy. There's no one-size-fits-all approach, so maybe you can help us become a little more informed so we don't feel like we're just casting stones at an 8-ball.
Yeah,
Which,
of
by the
course.
way, now says Bitcoin fixes this.
Bitcoin fixes this.
It does fix this.
It does fix this. Yeah. So if you watch my charts and stuff, and when I set up trades, I love to trade things that are called consolidated triangles, right? And those can be bullish or bearish. And I'll share my screen. Oh wait, I should probably hit the share screen button first.
Sure, that
It
button.
does help.
It
Proven
you know,
proven to do a better job.
I've heard it's fake news.
Believe me,
I've heard it's fake news.
I was waiting for this.
This is a
Experts are
gross
saying.
misrepresentation of the facts.
Yes. So can everyone see my screen?
For those
Make
people who
sure.
are listening only, can you sort of describe what we're looking at so they can play along
Yes,
at
so
home?
we are looking at Bitcoin on the 4-hour time frame. And on the 4-hour time frame, you have a consolidation triangle that you can draw with your own trend lines. And so what I've done is I love trading these triangles that if you can see, you can see. If you pull up the 4-hour chart, you can see it yourself as well. If you draw a support line pretty much starting on April 25th, the top line all the way to the right, and the bottom line starting from April 8th. Okay. Hopefully you can find that yourself. If you can't, you can see the chart here.
Yeah,
Now-
check out the recording.
The reason why I love the consolidation triangle breakouts is because the price points where you should sell or start to sell are typically very, 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 very reliable. And in an unreliable market, especially the current past month or 2 months that we've had, it's nice to be able to have some things that you can rely on like that. So we have this pattern here. Now, how you measure potential breakout zones, as you can see on my chart here, upwards to $88,913 and as low as $87,696. You can see that price on the 4-hour chart came up and hit our initial sell target perfectly. And this is our most bearish sell target that we hit. We could see a squeeze upwards of Bitcoin up to $88,900, but you should be pretty happy selling here, right? That's your first sell target. So how do we get those sell targets? How we get those sell targets is we need to measure the thickest point of our triangle here, and you put it on top of the breakout. But I have 2 sell targets here. You might be asking, well, isn't there just one thickest point? And I would say usually yes. But it can be a little tricky sometimes to pick. So I like to set a bearish and a bullish breakout target. Where I find this line here, this first much thicker point that creates our more optimistic bull case scenario, as I say, okay, cool. Where does this bottom line first come into existence? Oh, it comes into existence here on April 8th. I see it's generally supported in this range here from April 10th, on April 10th. And then I see the top line comes into existence right around here on April 13th. So this could be the thickest point. So if I take this line and I put it on top of the breakout, that's how we get our most optimistic scenario. But I also want to create something that's a little bit more conservative as well, because I don't like a point of support or resistance being respected that is outside, that has price action outside of the triangle that we're trying to trade. So if I look again at this bottom line, I go, okay, cool. This was outside, so let's not use that. This came inside and then broke out, so let's not use this. Price then moved upwards, and I don't really see a line of support confirmed until here. Okay, so let's say this is the first point of existence. Let's say this is the thickest point. We take this, put it on top of our breakout, and would you look at that? It hits the top move perfectly. TA
Well,
does work
can I interrupt you
sometimes.
to ask
Yes,
you a question
Go ahead.
about that?
Go ahead.
So you're as you are starting to see this pattern form, the consolidated triangle.
Mhm.
At what point did you put those two, the top I don't know the fucking whatever, the top slanty and the bottom slanty that make the triangle. At what point do you feel like you have enough data to put those on? Like at how long?
Yeah, you mentioned when you started them, but why?
So what I started to see is, and let me just clear up these two lines so it's a little bit more clean. And again, this is the 4-hour time frame. So this is like a real short-term trade scenario we're looking at here, okay? Now, what I first see is I first take a look as price was moving through here. You know, I didn't really have a clear sight. It wasn't until I got to April 17th where I saw, hey, there's a big rejection. There's a big rejection here, and there's a big rejection here. So let me draw this line real quick and see if there's any additional points of resistance or support further backwards. If we see, we can see that this body of this candle closed, you know, just before. We can see that there was some confluence here. So, hey, okay, well, we have 1 point here, a second point here, we have a third point here. A trend line is confirmed when it is touched 3 times. Then you have a confirmed trend line. So now it's been touched 3 times. And then if we move forward, you can see, hey, we got slam down here, slam down here. You got slam down here again, slam down, slam down. So it touched really as hardcore resistance 1, 2, 3 more times, right? So that, I mean, you just want to see it 3 times. That's your answer. That's your answer right there. Okay. And so if you say, cool, here's a trend line here. Let me see. Price is coiling. If price is coiling, it's typically in some type of consolidation triangle, getting to a breakout point and looking to expand. So let me see where this bottom line, where a bottom line of support is. I didn't draw this line perfectly, but you can see here. You know, there's a line here, you know, it's respected here as well, here, here, and here. So here's our bottom line of the triangle, and that's how we that's how we form it. But when you have price moving sideways and coiling, it's typically in a consolidation triangle that you can draw, measure, and create trades on. Now, how do you create trades on this, right? Because if you're looking at the chart, you can see, hey, we had a breakout here, but it ended up not being a breakout. We had a breakout here, ended up not being a breakout. We had a bearish breakout here, but it wasn't a short scenario either. Obviously, price went flying upwards. So what you can do is once you have your triangle set and you set your bull scenario and your bear scenario, you wait for a bullish break or a bearish break. You either do spot buys and set a long, or you set a short and you set it to your sell targets. So with this wick here, typically when you have a breakout, you break upwards and then you have a candle that likes to come and confirm this as support. Maybe it hangs out here even for a little bit before you have that blast off. Usually that's typical. In this case, we broke upwards and got slammed back down, so we didn't get a confirmation, so I didn't set a trade. Here, actually, because I drew this line so poorly.
I was going to say, pretty rough.
It's not a very straight line, man. Come on.
I'm sorry. Oh, wait, I realized I'm not doing a good job of this. Here we go. There we go. You can see right here, this body actually came in and touched. So I was celebrating Easter, so I did not see this, but I would have been like, oh, cool, we confirmed here. I would have set a short here, expecting a short move downwards. But when you do this, you protect yourself. If you're about to set a short in this scenario, you set a buy stop. For me, I like to have it 1% below this, above this line. So this price would have moved upwards. It would have cleared out my position. I would have had a 1% loss. And that would have happened here. You know, then the price moved upwards. Also, if the price had confirmed up here, I would have bought my Bitcoin or my coin here. I would have set a stop loss 1% down. If this ended up being a fake out, I would have saved myself from having a bigger move down. It would have been a 1% loss. So I really like these consolidation triangles because if you buy in and there's a fake out and you set a stop loss in, you set yourself up for a 1%, maybe a 2% loss, but you're putting yourself in a scenario where if you get that confirmation, you know, you could have in this case, you know, a 3% gain, right? You know, so maybe you have a tighter stop loss here because this is a short-term time frame. But you know, you have a much bigger gain opportunity here. So you're gonna have losses in trading. The key is to make sure your losses are small and your wins are big. You're putting yourself in low risk, high reward scenarios. And then in this case, actually, this is another good example, and this is why I thought this was great to use as a teaching moment, because like I said before, typically when you have a break, you come down and you confirm this as support before you have that blast off. In this case, Bitcoin just erupted. And even if we move to short-term timeframes, on the 1 hour time frame, it just erupted. Even if you go to like the 30 minutes, it just erupted. Like this was a crazy, crazy formation. or movement of price for Bitcoin. And so what I did in that scenario is if I was watching it and not celebrating Easter, I would have seen that mega green candle just go upwards. And I would have been like, see you, buddy. It didn't reach the final thing that I needed to feel super confident in being able to go and set up a long or something on an altcoin. So that's a scenario where I think it's a really good teaching moment that even if it happens the way you thought it was going to happen, if you didn't get your final little bit of evidence you needed to make you feel really confident about something, you don't have to chase it. An option in trading is to do nothing. And luckily I have a big bag of Bitcoin too. So like Bitcoin going up, I was still like, hooray. I didn't feel the pressure to have to trade this. But like the final thing that I needed and wanted to see to feel really good and confident about a move upwards, I didn't get. I just went, cool. Bon voyage, Bitcoin, have a good time, right? So that's why I think what we just saw in Bitcoin really over the past couple of days is a really great example for like short-term trading. And I'm talking short-term trading, right? Yeah, so I know that was long. So anyway, I'll take questions.
There's a follow-up. You said the past few days the daily chart was overbought. So
yeah.
Can you talk about the difference between, like the easiest way I have thought about it in the past, and I don't know if this is perfectly accurate or not, but when I'm thinking about like, which chart, which time frame am I looking at? It really depends on how quickly you're looking to do something. So if you're like, when I'm gambling on shit coins at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm not looking at the hour chart because I won't even leave my desk with an open position, right? Because they're so psychotic. So in that sense, you're at the minute chart at the biggest. But like if you're, buying something that you're looking to do for a week, you might just be using the daily. Is that like roughly how you would think about it?
What I would think.
So like, sorry, something like this scenario here, you just went through a couple different time frames, right? So you're talking about like, okay, here's the 4 hour. This is the one I was using for whatever. But if we zoomed out and went to the daily or down to the 30-minute, you could kind of see like overall confirmation of the general pattern. But like within those, you might see more smaller micro patterns, like as you go down in the time frame, or bigger macro stuff as you go up. Is that like, am I off base, or is that vaguely there?
No, well, I think what you're saying is right, but I'm gonna word it differently.
Please do.
When you are trading, the first chart I always tell people to is go to the monthly chart. It doesn't have to be. It can be whatever asset it is. Go to the monthly chart and take a look to see what the bigger macro trend is. Sorry, my face was a dragon breathing fire for a second on TikTok. And then once you understand what that bigger macro trend is, that is what is going to be dictating things on the weekly time frame and the daily time frame. Because whatever trend you have, if it's bullish on the monthly time frame, you're going to get more of the bullish scenarios to play out on your weekly chart and your daily chart, because the monthly chart is really the trend. Everything else is just kind of noise, right? So start on the monthly chart, then take a look at the weekly chart. What's going to happen? Take a look at the daily chart. So if we take a look at my screen share again for a second, the daily time frame here, this stochastic RSI has been in overbought territory for a very long time, signaling that we are at heightened risk of seeing a short-term correction. So why has this been able to play in overbought territory for such a long period of time? Because if I zoom outwards and you look at all the other instances of it being overbought on the daily time frame, very rarely is it this overbought for this long. I mean, you can see a couple examples here at the beginning, near the end of 2024, as we had the ramp up into the election, right? But it typically doesn't happen for this length of time. So if we zoom out to the weekly time frame, we can see that on the weekly chart, we've been in oversold territory for quite some time. So that is the larger macro trend that drives the shorter term time frame. So if the larger macro trend says, hey, we actually have quite a bit of room to play here for a little bit, you could expect things on the daily chart to remain overbought for a longer period of time, because the daily chart is not as impactful as the weekly chart. The weekly chart is not as impactful as the monthly chart. What is happening on the monthly and weekly chart are more important.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, as always, for making the complex clear. Before you exit the chart, can you draw a smiley face while you get your drawing tool for the vibes?
What color do you want the smiley face to be?
Let's make it green, man. Green like our candles.
I am a big fan of this.
Oh, wait. I've actually never changed the color on this, and I don't know how to do it. Anyway,
He talked a
smiley
big
face.
game.
There
Smiley
it
face.
is.
Oh, wait, here we go.
Man.
Ha.
Hey, there.
Oh my
Wait,
goodness.
wait,
Absolutely.
Wait,
beautiful.
I am Picasso.
Yeah. Somebody screenshot it. Chart art by Will Watson. Absolutely beautiful. Thank you very much. And if you are somebody who finds yourself listening to this and thinking, God, I would really love it if Will would teach a class on this, then let me tell you, your wish is Will's command. We actually have a recording that you can get right now. It's on our website, theriseupmorningshow.com, and I'll show you exactly how to find it. The course you're looking for is called Intro to Technical Analysis with Will Watson. You go to the site, theriseupmorningshow.com. You click the little menu, you drop down, you go to courses, and it is right there for you. It's the very second course. Check this out. Oh, wait, nope. It's that one. I guess I'll reorder it to put it towards the top. Intro to Technical Analysis with Will Watson. And we all kinds of stuff there, but this is a really great one. If you're somebody who wants to learn how to read charts just a little better in order to draw your own conclusions, Will walks you through it step by step. You get a PDF guide of his notes, the slides from his presentation, and really, it's basic, but it's nuanced. There's depth. Even I understood it. And if that tells you anything, then you know it's a good class. We also have a bunch of other classes, including the Crypto Taxes Made Easy Coinly tutorial that we just did. If you're somebody who filed an extension, like me, and you have never done your
Like
crypto
me.
taxes before, or you're feeling a little overwhelmed, then go there. And the real secret alpha is, don't just stop there. Check out all the social links at theriseupmorningshow.com, because we've got a great community that is full of learners at all levels of experience from all around the world. I recommend you jump into the free Rise Up Discord server if you haven't already. It's where the show lives 24/7. And all that's missing, my friends, is you. Though stay tuned, because we are hoping to have an even easier onboarding experience for people who want to learn cryptocurrency with us, and we'll be sharing more about that. We have a meeting with Circle, the community platform, today to try and build an even safer, easier to use home for everybody in our community, and I'll be opening up a forum post about that if you want to give your feedback, share your thoughts, criticisms, complaints, good jokes, words of wisdom, all that stuff. But I'm thinking it's going to be really good.
Worth
Trying to protect
noting.
everybody from the scammers.
Yeah, that's really the biggest impetus for doing this, is that Discord is great, but it's great for people like us who are comfortable. And I've been using Discord every single day since 2017, so it's second nature. But we have a lot of people who are interested in joining and learning more about all this kind of stuff. And whenever you're talking about finances, especially online, Discord is just awful. And I know for a fact that people who have joined our server have gotten hit with scams and have probably lost money doing it. And that's unacceptable. And there's just really no good way to protect from the very specific kind of scam that we're getting hit with in Discord, where there are like totally normal, legit lurker accounts sitting in the server. And our mods do a great job of like filtering out people who've been sitting there and send a lot of DMs, but never say anything in public. And if they catch one, they get rid of it. But you can make an unlimited number of these things, and they just have a bunch. And the way around that is chatting a lot. So unfortunately, it's just really not great. Circle, we've looked at it before. It's a pretty solid platform. So it's just wanted to lay concerns aside, though, to say, if you are nervous about it, it's a totally new platform. We're going to have to learn how to use it. The Discord's not going anywhere. It's going to stay there honestly as long as it takes, until everybody is like fine and comfy. So if you're like not sure about Circle or not sure how to use it, whatever, just keep asking your questions in Discord. It's not going away. It will all be there for as long as everything takes to get everybody comfy in wherever the final resting place is going to be.
Alex, we had a really good question. Since we're talking about scams, the request is, can we touch on the Zoom scam? And this is something that I saw the other day. I think I might have even retweeted it, and I really hope I did, because that's going to make it a lot easier for me to get this screen share. But
This is news to me.
Oh, dude, this is wild. Okay, so let me get this screen share up. If you want to see the screen share, again, it's your reminder. Check out the recordings on YouTube. Search the Rise Up Morning Show. We got a whole playlist there to make it easy for you. But catch this. Okay, so the other day, Jake Gallen, who is, I got to remind myself, CEO at Emblem Vault, which is like a Web3 company. He's native. He's been here for years. He uses pretty strong, robust security. He gets scammed. A total compromise of his computer that ended with the loss of ETH and Bitcoin assets from different wallets and NFTs of over $100,000 in value. So serious scam. And this is what happened and how it works. It's related to a Zoom interview. He got a DM from somebody on social media, on Twitter, a person who has a large social presence, and he starts to do his due diligence because the guy wants to have him on a podcast. And it looks like this profile checks all the boxes. He's got a large social media presence. They have mutual followers, and all the account links across all the communications, they match up. The guy asks him to come on over to Telegram, which is not uncommon for scheduling. And so he does, and they schedule a podcast. The software that hacked him is known as Goop Date and took advantage of him through Zoom. Here's what happened. They're calling it the elusive comet threat. And
this one's becoming more and more prevalent, isn't it, Evan? I feel like I've seen several examples of this, this like fake podcast lure tactic. I didn't know what the software was called, though.
Apparently, this one who reached out to him, Tactical Invest, is part of a group that has done this. They've been called out by other people before. So after the due diligence checks out, he gets on this interview, and Tactical Invest, the interviewer, has his screen turned off. He says, "You going to have your camera turned on?" He says, "No, I'm recording from other cameras in the room. This is sus." But the guy continues to go on. And while the interview is happening, it's just basically a buying time for them to download malware onto your computer called Goop Date. And what happens is, in order for the scam to take place, the guest of the Zoom call has to allow remote access to the host of the call, which is a requestable feature that is default on for every Zoom account. He says he doesn't personally remember clicking any kind of button to give remote access. He never saw any displays during the call, which doesn't mean that, of course, he didn't do it, but he saw no signs that he could recall or remember, and he's been in contact with Zoom. I have not seen the official response from Zoom as to whether or not they're going to change this to make it not a default setting. But if you're using Zoom, do watch out for this. I'm sure there's a patch somewhere. If somebody's got an update or a patch, we can check it out in the comments. But yeah, if you want to see more, it's Goop Date. And what did I just say? The name of the compromise was, the hack was? Oh my gosh. Hit the rewind button twice and you can hear me say what the name. I've got Tactical Invest in my brain. Goop Date, Emblem Vault. Oh my God. Maybe I can touch back on this to see if they have, in fact, added some kind of patch for it tomorrow, because I can't find it on the fly. What do you guys think about that, though? Scary times, huh?
This is one of those reasons that I, in my paranoia, have two laptops, one of which is used for like all things social. It leaves the house. It's the work computer, all that kind of stuff, but it doesn't have any keys on it. There's no like wallets installed. There's no any of that kind of shit. It's the one that leaves the house. The wallet ones never leave the house, would never like jump in anything. And I mean, knowing this, that's a good one. I mean, good in the morbid sense.
Yeah.
That the things that you would just consider or never consider being like a risk, like taking a call with somebody. The one that I had gotten hit with earlier, which luckily they kind of fumbled. Otherwise, I'm really truly wondering like how far I would have taken it if they hadn't kind of screwed it up. Was the fake job offer one?
Oh yeah. Tell them about that.
I was actively looking for work in the space, and that was evidenced by my LinkedIn. And someone had clearly found it and then sent me like an offer to apply for something. and they just started asking for too much personal information way too early, like before the application had even, been turned in or whatever. And I just kind of got a little sussed out by it. And turns out, then I started digging. It turns out that it's a scam meant to get like your bank account information and stuff to set up direct deposit and, address and all this kind of like enough information to start opening accounts in your name, or to, make a compelling case to the bank to let you get logged in because they had, routing, account information, like all this kind of stuff, name, birth date, you're applying for a job to get paid, so social security number, like all this kind of stuff. Never gave anything over because, like I said, before I had even turned in anything, they were already asking for like my social, and I'm like, okay, this is so unprofessional and insane.
Yeah, like
Yeah, but I'm sure that, and I've heard from other people about getting this weird, like, phony offer for a job that was like going to pay you way too much. First, it was just, it's rough. It's rough out there, man.
Yeah, you should, generally
Tough in these
speaking,
streets.
too. Somebody asked, so if I was going to buy crypto through my phone, should I use another phone for that? And generally speaking, the best practice is you should use dedicated devices to interact with your crypto. At the very least, you should use dedicated devices to interact with your cold storage, with anything that is precious to you that you really want to keep secure. I have social wallets installed on my phone, I'll be frank.
Yep, me too.
My computer too. And those wallets are used for mostly expressions of my identity. And to be fair, there are a couple of them that I would be a little sad if they got compromised. But none of them have like my Bitcoin for retirement. I keep that off the internet completely. You can use an old cell phone. You can use an old laptop. I have a friend here in Memphis who went out and got like a little Chrome notebook kind of thing for, $150. And that's her dedicated crypto trading device. She keeps it secure. It only connects to trusted Wi-Fi networks, never like Starbucks kind of thing.
Yeah,
And
don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that. That's an easy, simple way to stay secure. Don't take your crypto on your phone to a crypto conference and use the Wi-Fi to like scan a bunch of stuff. You don't want to do that. And
That
it's not a
QR
big
code
reason
sticker in the bathroom, don't
Oh,
scan it.
Don't scan
Don't
it.
scan
Oh,
QR
Don't
codes.
scan it. I can't believe how many people use QR code. I use one for my business card, and I always make the joke when I hold it up on my phone screen and people scan it at the crypto conference. They're like, "Oh, what's this?" Because people still don't see that kind of thing, I guess. I say, "Oh, don't worry, it's my business card." Just kidding. I'm going to steal all your Bitcoin, or whatever.
Yeah.
It's my favorite
Gotcha.
dumb joke. Yeah.
Except I actually did. See you later. Anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Bye.
Bye.
Real quick, thanks for the tip. If you are concerned about that Zoom scam, then you want to go into your settings and disable something called remote control. You may have to have this on if you're using a work computer. They might force you to, but
That
your
is
personal computer's gotta
bananas
turn
that
it
that's
off.
a default on.
Isn't that wild?
That's insane to me.
That is that was the biggest takeaway from me, was like, I cannot believe as a default feature they have something this vulnerable. Why? I don't understand.
No, that's wild to me. That I'm like trying to figure out like, okay, what would be the reason to have that enabled default on?
I honestly don't know.
I can't, does someone who know more than me like have any idea? Because I can't come up with anything. I'm gonna ask my dad. Why the hell would this be a thing? That's wild, man.
I don't know. If you've got a crypto question, if you've got a scam tip, if you've got something you want to share with us as we continue to close the show, we've got plenty of time left for a few more questions, and we're coming back tomorrow. I do want to give you a quick commercial to say that Wednesday, after dark, we are hosting Brittany Kaiser, who is the whistleblower of the Cambridge Analytica crisis and currently the CSO at the Open Source AI Foundation. I think it's going to be a riveting conversation about why the future of AI needs to be open source. And I am sure that there are going to be some really interesting stories that you'll get to hear. If you want to do your homework, just search her name, Brittany, 2 T's with an A and Y, Kaiser, spelled like the leader, Kaiser. And you can find her story, but you can tune in Wednesday with no prep at all and jump right into the conversation. It's going to be great. If you want to see that or other episodes of Rise Up After Dark, including the one that Will sent me from last week that I myself have yet to discover with our friend Nil. Sound like they had some good alpha. Then you can check those out on our YouTube page in the Rise Up After Dark playlist or the podcast. And if you are listening in the future to the podcast or to YouTube, then hello. We hope your candles are green. Bless you.
Thank you. Yeah, Evan, that was another one actually where you weren't there for the night episode, and it was a really good episode.
Damn it. If you want to have a good After Dark, don't invite me. Not that our After Darks are are bad, but you guys always have.
I will say it
Killer.
felt really good to bring out the whiteboard again and to do some altcoin reviews. Although, to be fair, we got severely distracted.
As is noted on the whiteboard, though.
As is noted on the whiteboard in the Discord. I did note we were very distracted.
We did cover a bunch of stuff, though. And honestly, I think one of the benefits about doing it in that sense, and at least getting a couple examples, is that you can take the way that we looked at all of it and apply it to anything. So if you're like, if you're watching those and you're like, well, I wonder what they would think about altcoin, whatever, just watch us analyze any of the, 3 or 4 that we went through and apply those same kinds of questions, flags, and all that sort of stuff to whatever you're curious about. And that's probably what our thoughts would be.
Solom says keg stands and stuff were happening. I want to know what the and stuff was.
Don't worry
That
about
would
it.
be nice.
Don't
Don't worry about it. You got to watch the recording, Evan.
I guess so. I'm going to listen to it on the podcast. That's for sure.
So there was a follow-up or two, and I think that I have a few people that I can reach out to. I think it would be a good move to plan a show episode with an actual cybersecurity expert, and we'll just go through like basic internet OPSEC stuff, and then how to level it up and how to be paranoid and what to watch out for and all these sorts of things. I think, it's always easier for me to understand what I should do to protect myself when I get like, how are people attacking you? Luckily I know several cybersecurity experts. We'll grab somebody. I think that'd be a great episode.
That'd be cool.
We've had a couple requests for that, and I think it would be really good.
Yeah. I'll poke around a little bit today and see who we can. 1 or 2 would be great. Actually, that would be, especially just as it relates to crypto and trading, because that's one of the reasons that this stuff is so important, is just because anytime you have new tech and it's finance related, the opportunity for theft is
absolutely,
it's through the roof.
It makes me concerned about just longevity in the space. The longer we're here, the better it's going to get, but the longer you're here, the more of a target you become if you accumulate more funds. We had a question. Somebody was saying, if I make it big this bull run, should I think about moving my money off chain? And I'm curious to know what your takes are here. I have traditionally advised people that cold storage is the best way to secure money on chain or any information that matters to you. If you really want to upgrade it, then you go with a multi-signature wallet, which is like a wallet with multiple passwords. Whereas most wallets you use have one, this one will have many, and you won't be able to move the money without getting permission from several of them. However, because on-chain data is publicly trackable, I have seen exploits continue like this, to make people with a lot of money, even maybe money that you might not consider a lot, not like mega rich people, a target. Coinbase is a target all the time. Binance is a target all the time, and they want your data. They want Coinbase's money and Binance's money, but they also want your data. So I do think, and I've heard you guys have different takes on this. What do you think? Are you planning on, in the short term or the long term, keeping all your money in crypto forever? And what's that look like? At which point do you start to move money out of crypto? Thoughts? Will?
Yeah, it's funny. I've been thinking about changing up my strategy on this exact front. So I'm not going to have a, this is what I'm doing kind of an answer, but maybe I can give a little bit of extra context to it. So my strategy beforehand would have been, if you want to lock in profits, you put it in your bank account, right? And then you go and you do other stuff with it. You buy the thing you wanted to buy. You invest in real estate, maybe you want to diversify more. You get some dividend stocks or whatever that are pretty safe. You diversify in some way, shape, or form. Or you just buy the things you wanted, right? You get that Lambo, I don't know, whatever. A couple shirts, whatever your goal was for that money. The Nintendo Switch 2. Hey man, I went to Buck Mason and accidentally spent $198 on 2 shirts. So like you can spend a lot of money on t-shirts.
Buck Mason doesn't sound like a store. It sounds like a guy who lives down the street from you who sells shirts out of the back of his truck.
Well, let me tell you, they sell you incredibly overpriced but high quality.
Welcome to Buck Mason. I'm here, your
Welcome
boy
to
Buck Mason.
It's funny.
Fair
The guy who was helping me was actually like the exact polar opposite. Like he and his boyfriend were going on like a nice trip the next day to like Cape Cod, and we were talking about what they were doing and all that kind of stuff. He was like the total opposite personality. So that was Buck Mason.
Yeah. Okay.
But anyway, where was I? Right. If you want to lock in profits, you put it into your bank account. However, that's like locking in profits to go do something with. Either you want to diversify outside of crypto, you're going to buy some stuff, right? So that's what you do there. If you are selling and you're like, I'm going to redeploy this money eventually back into crypto, then take it into stable coins, and you can keep some on something like a Coinbase and earn interest off of that. So it's still working for you. If you have money, it should be working for you to make you more money, right? Or you can take it on chain to like a Morpho, a lending protocol, or in Solana, if you like, find a lending protocol where you can earn interest off of your stable coins, right? But the question was like, do you keep it all in crypto? So my Bitcoin is a part of my retirement strategy. My Bitcoin is also, which, I don't plan on dipping my toes into for quite some time. My Bitcoin is also, if I ever needed to flee, like Alex's family has had to flee countries in the past. I don't think things in the United States will get to that point, but if they ever were to, my money will be in Bitcoin, and I will run. If this is actually what triggered this, if Jerome Powell somehow is fired by Trump,
which he's trying to do, it seems like
he's trying to do, like my money is going to be in a stable coin, not pegged to the dollar, and I'm going to have a bunch of Bitcoin, and I'm going to be like, all right, cool. So the dollar is exploding, right? I'm going to have almost all of my money on chain, because if it's not on chain, it's in the dollar. And the dollar in that case would be free falling like a motherfucker. So like that's actually what triggered my initial thinking of like, how much of my money do I really want on and off chain in that scenario? In that scenario, I've come to the conclusion of like, I will want that money on chain because I could earn the best interest. I could protect myself from the volatility of the falling and weakening of the dollar in that sense. I could easily go to a decentralized exchange and find stablecoin euros or stablecoin pounds and other things like that. And it would just be a way more seamless, way cheaper, way fewer fees, far less questions being asked by like, the Fidelities and the money markets of the world. And I would have my money on chain and in crypto, either in the form of stable coins or Bitcoin in that sense. So sorry, that was a lot of rambling, but I also haven't put these words out into the real world yet. It's just kind of been jumbling in my head. So I don't know if I gave a very concise answer.
It was helpful to hear you think through it in real time. What about you, Alex?
I have no plans of like ever completely exiting. I believe in the, what is it, Back to the Future 2, where we're going, we don't need roads idea for Bitcoin. I believe that where we're going, you won't need to sell it. And so I have no intention of doing that. I am open to changing my mind when presented with new information, but as of right now, no plans. So in that sense, I agree. I mean, the eventual world that I see, just it makes more sense to have money on chain. That doesn't mean holding a whole bunch of volatile altcoins. I don't think I'll ever, keep a gigantic portfolio of 40 or 50 different things. Been there once. It was awful. Don't recommend it. I think honestly, the eventuality that I see is like enough utilitarian crypto in various things to like pay for whatever networks I happen to use until such a time when everything is paid for in gas by using stable coins. I don't know. I'm making shit up, but who knows where we're going. And then Bitcoin. There's yield opportunities when money is tokenized that simply don't exist where it isn't. That's pretty much it. I'm constantly talking about closing the gap. And in my head right now, we're in danger of the gap getting bigger, not shrinking. So I have no difference or no opinion or no plans to go back to having, like only dollars where I have to worry about the gap even more because my yield disappears. I just got my interest payment on my checking account, which does not contain an insignificant amount of money. It's not a ton, but it's something. and I just got 9 cents for the month.
Hell yeah.
Like, I can't even fathom what percent.
Mailbox
It's
money.
got it's 0.0015% or something like that. And it's, I mean, you know, the easiest, lamest place to keep USDC is paying you 4+%. So, yeah, I don't know. No plans of leaving the chain, to be very honest. I would like to be more on chain. More, not
Well,
less.
what made you chuckle?
Oh, it was me going back and forth with Amy as Amy Street. For those of you who don't know, she's a fantastic creator over on Twitter, and she's more than just a creator, right? She works in the crypto space, a whole bunch of other stuff. But she goes, "The Jerome Powell nuke scares the life out of me. I'm tired of this, Grandpa." And so I sent back, "Go, that's too damn bad." And she goes, "You keep digging." Sorry, just back.
Listen. Hey to Amy and hey to everybody. This is it's a challenging thing, and there's no one answer that's right for any person. I tend to agree with this idea that the future of money is on chain, and I like the sovereignty of self-custody, but I also know that most hacks are due to a human error, a user error, and I myself have compromised more than one wallet because I have just been moving too quick. To be fair, I'm a lot more secure with my cold storage than I am just clicking around with stuff on the internet. That's why I use the wallet protocol I do, so that I don't have to worry about losing those things. But there are plenty of actors like the US government or you name it, Bobby B down the street. If we become notorious enough, if my Bitcoin stash becomes big enough, that could probably outwit me or outmaneuver me or overpower me. What is the hack that people are not worried about but should be? It's not some crazy, cyber Russian, Korean, alien intelligence. It's the $5 wrench hack where somebody goes to Home Depot and gets a $5 wrench and just beats you until you tell them where your seed phrase is. Like, that's the hack that, I don't know. I don't think most people need to be worried about that. I don't feel a need to go around like worried about it, but I think I am hopeful it's a future that we can all become more resilient against, because that's the cool thing about crypto is they can take your lives, but they can never take your crypto if you don't give it to them. So, my friends,
Isn't that true with anything?
you know. Well, I don't know. I can think of at least 2 or 3 things that under duress somebody could just take from you. If you've got an example, if you've got a question, if you've got a suggestion, a good joke, a word of wisdom, as we round out the show and prepare to ride our dogs and ponies into the sunset, then please leave it in the comments. Now is your time. We'd love to hear from you, and we'd love to see you in the Rise Up Discord server. Remember, it's a global community. All levels of experience are welcome. The only thing missing is you. It's discord.gg/riseup. Somebody asked, did he just quote from the Mel Gibson movie? And the answer is yes.
Yes.
Amen.
Yes,
I did. It's the other movie that I've seen.
I
Maybe
got
the only other movie.
There was a question that was, do you just put your Bitcoin in your hardware wallet, or do you put your Bitcoin and your altcoins? I used to put altcoins in my hardware wallet when I first started investing, because I was like, yeah, this is a lot of money. It was for me at the time. I was like, this is a lot of money. I want to make sure this is safe. And then I've now come to the conclusion that just like holding altcoins long term is just not a good strategy. And so I'm just like, all right, cool. Like with altcoins, I just don't really believe in them long term. I think Solana could be here. I think Ethereum could be here, right? I think Chainlink could be here. I think, there are going to be some coins that just also exist and don't necessarily do well price wise, right? But I just don't really feel a strong need to have a long term storage solution for altcoins, because for me personally, I'm looking to trade my altcoins. Maybe that trade takes 6 to 18 months. Those are my biggest trades usually, but I still don't necessarily feel a need for a hardware wallet, especially because I want to just be quick in a market. Maybe I make it move after a couple days. Maybe I make it move after just a couple months. So I don't really feel the need for it with altcoins. It's just Bitcoin for me.
It's. I also just don't think of them in the same category. I have seen a lot of comments even today. I see them all the time from a lot of people. I'm not a Bitcoin maxi, but a lot more in my life I am, as time goes on, seeing the gap between.
Oh, that's
Bitcoin and
exactly it.
everything else.
Yes. Yes. I'm not a Bitcoin maxi at all. And people call me one sometimes, but I'm just like, no, it's just that as more time goes by, I just go like, oh, like Bitcoin is good. Bitcoin is nice. Bitcoin friend. I just see it as valuable. And it's just such a fugazi game in the altcoin space that you like, and you become tired and you're just like, I just want something that like, I know is good for me. And it's so easy to just look at Bitcoin and be like, this is good for me long-term. And I can put money here and then just like not worry about it. And I can keep checking out this altcoin space and find solutions that are great and find some coins that I can do short-term flips on and all that. But I don't have to think with Bitcoin. It's just Bitcoin good. Let me buy that.
Bitcoin
It's
good.
nice. Yeah.
Bitcoin good. Well, gentlemen, have you got a final thought, either of you, before we ride our dogs and ponies into the sunset? Amy says, I don't like hardware wallets. I'm going to be honest. It's maybe because Ledger has given me issues. And I will say for my final thought, if you are somebody who is using a hardware wallet or considering using a hardware wallet, sometimes called a cold storage wallet, the best wallet, because we always get asked which is the best wallet, is simply the one that's easiest for you to use consistently, well, and the one that supports the tokens and networks you want to use. If you're an XRP holder and you have a wallet that doesn't support XRP tokens or the XRP ledger, it's probably not going to be the best hardware wallet for you, even if you like the user experience. And the best way to find out which one works for you is to go to their website, search the tokens they support, look through their documents, and check out YouTube tutorials. They are so good. For just 5 minutes a pop, you can see what the Trezor Model T, which Alex uses, looks like. Or you can see how the Ledger Nano X, which I'm pretty sure, Will, you use an X, and I both use.
I use an S. I'm old school.
An S. Oh, damn, man.
Yeah, dude.
But Amy says, her Ledger, the batteries died like 4 times. So, maybe.
Mine doesn't have a
different
battery.
one. His doesn't have a battery. And maybe you
mine
use a card
just
wallet.
connects. Mine just connects to my computer and uses the power through that.
So you got options. You
Yeah.
got a lot of options. And the most important one is the one that's best for you. So, guys, what about you? Final thought? Question, suggestion? Complaints? Short stories? Pithy
Music
remarks?
anecdotes.
If you don't care about the morality of the situation, you can go and bet on who the new pope's going to be. There's like 33% chance on the 2 top front runners on Polymarket. So go have fun.
Is it too late to get in?
Yeah, is now a good time to buy?
Is now a good time to buy Pope
We're
speculation.
buying popes, baby.
It's the perfect time to buy.
Popes.
How do you short the Pope?
How do you
Is what I want to know.
Well, what you could have done is you could have placed a bet that had a 30% chance in the beginning of April of will we have a new pope in 2025? So that's how you short the pope, and it would have been a good short.
What if it was insider trading and the Pope knew his health was failing and he was like, boys, go long on Easter Day.
I will absolutely die.
Yeah,
on
go
this.
long.
And then just kick the
Easter
bucket.
Day. Just raptured. But no, final thoughts and words of wisdom. It's still a very scary macro environment, guys. Just because things are green, I would say don't necessarily get caught up. I don't want to be a total downer, but don't get totally caught up in like this FOMO feeling that you're getting. Because remember, we're in a very manipulated market, even more so now than we were a few months ago, right? Yeah, or years ago, right? I feel like every year we get more manipulated. But if we are really at the beginning of like, hey, bull market's back, baby, wait for a higher low to be confirmed. Wait for confirmation, because odds are you're looking at prices right now, and even if things go up a little bit more, when there's a good sized correction that comes, even if we do set a higher low, prices are probably going to be lower than they are right now. So practice patience and good luck. Have fun. Make a bunch of money.
Well said. Alex, you got a banger for me?
If you didn't want Bitcoin in the 70s, you don't want it right now. So do yourself a favor and buy some stable coins instead and wait until you feel better about the whole thing. Don't whiplash yourself into the market just because it's been green for 2 weeks. That's a surefire way to catch it right before it crashes and then panic and dump it and just farm yourself for a loss.
Yep.
It's not worth it.
Yep. And guess what? I've done it before. Doesn't feel great.
Nope. Doesn't feel good.
Doesn't feel good.
So, my friends, if you're a Bitcoin holder, if you're a Bitcoin skeptic, if you're crypto curious, if you love the Pope or you hate him, then this is the show for you. I just want to say to the people in the comments, someone said, "Don't make fun of the Pope." We love the Pope. That's my final thought. We are making
I love
fun
Pope
of
Frankie.
the,
Pope Frankie was great.
We're
He was,
making
like, my
fun of,
favorite.
the story of the Pope. Isn't it funny that we live in a world where so much is decided by a guy who wears a particular, very socially powerful symbolic hat? Like that's kind of funny. If the aliens came here, I think honestly they would have a good laugh at it. And can you blame them? And they'd
And
probably
also-
laugh at these three guys doing their own fake radio show. But that's it, my friends. We've got to get out of here and ride our dogs off into the sunset. Come back and see us tomorrow. Ask your questions in the Discord and join us again on another episode. Until tomorrow, my friends, thank you for being the best part of what we do. Stay safe. Be well. Everybody,